Hello, my name is Samuel Adams Landis. I am the president, co-founder of Maslow's Army.
Hi, I'm Susan Landis, Secretary, co-founder, Maslow's Army.
So let me tell you a little bit about our organization. We began this organization in October of 2016. My wife and I were working at a mental health facility, and we just felt that we had a lot more to offer, that our services weren't being maybe utilized to its full potential. So I woke up one night in the middle of the night and I said, honey, let's start our own nonprofit. I believe that we can go out there on the street and really make a big impact with our stories, our experience, our knowledge, and our education. So it all started with a seed. It all started with a passion one night early in the morning. So we grew from there.
So on January 22nd of 2017, we started our very first Maslow's Army basic needs outreach. We started out with 4 volunteers. We all met on Fountain Square in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we handed out hats and gloves, scarves, and anyway, it was such a success that we're going to come back every single week. And we did. And we went from having 4 volunteers to about 60 volunteers each week. Some of the 60 volunteers are students from McNicholas High School. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, we've had Anderson High School show up, Turpin High School here in Anderson Township.
Colleges.
Milford, Norwood, Long Branch, Cooper, Connor. The list goes on and on. Miami U, NKU, UC, Xavier, and I apologize if I'm missing. I know I'm missing a bulk, but yeah, we usually have typically 8 to 9 different schools that come out and represent us each week, as we serve 700 slices of La Rosa's pizza,
bottled water, fruit,
dessert, right? Up to 25 haircuts a week. We do brand new and used clothing, new socks, t-shirt, and underwear. We serve from 7 tents now on Fountain Square with permit, and it's just kind of blown up. It's like a little city where the reason why we chose Sunday is I was a big NFL fan. I love my football. I love the Bengals, the hometown team, and I decided that Sundays I can get a little out of control when I'm watching my football. So I knew that to make this right, I had to make a big sacrifice, and my wife and I have made many sacrifices along the way. So I chose 1 o'clock kickoff time on Sundays. And also, let me go back and say, through my experience, when I turned 18, I made a decision to go out and watch a Grateful Dead show in Chicago, and that was pretty much it for me. I was given the choice: if you go to the show, then you won't have a home when you get back. So true to their word, I got back, and all my stuff was on the porch. So that's what began over 20 years of homelessness for me. And I really hit the streets with no survival skills. Didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to balance a checkbook. I didn't know how to survive. So I made a lot of terrible decisions along the way, but I also gained a lot of experience and was able to survive. So really a hard and trying time for me being out there on the street. So I gained a lot of experience, watched a lot of people with addictions and mental illness, lost a lot of people out there that were really good people. That what we like to say at Maslow's Army is homelessness is a situation and not an identity. You never know who is out there or what their circumstances is, and it's always a very big stereotype that the people living out there on the streets, which right now currently is 1,158, which was the last count, and that's living on the streets in a place that is not meant for human habitation, and that's where I was. I was in that 16% of people experiencing homelessness.
And going back to Sundays, one of the reasons why we chose Sunday at 1 o'clock was because that's, like you said, during the weekend, the money flows freely, people panhandling, and people, by the time Sunday comes along, there's no money. People are hungry.
There's no cash flow. Friday and Saturday night, they go to the bars, they hang out downtown. There's lots of people. So the money's flowing like honey on Friday and Saturday. Come Sunday, They wake up in their camps, they're hungry. I was trying to say 50% of the people, it's only 50% that actually are experiencing mental illness or addiction. So that means there's 50% that aren't, and people need to know those statistics. So we chose Sunday for that reason, because they wake up in these camps and they're empty, so they know they can come to Fountain Square. They know that they can utilize these resources. And we don't just do the event, as we were saying, with all these things that we provide. We also not just provide a handout on Sundays, we give them a hand up. So we engage. We have cornhole, we have chess and checkers. My wife takes the kids and plays Uno on a table.
Yep.
And that's another topic, the children that we serve. Typically there's a lot of children living in poverty or even homeless that come to our event, that they get meals Monday through Friday at their schools, but when it comes to Saturday and Sunday, they're not getting the proper nutrition they need. So we have tons of kids that come out that eat 8, 9, 10 slices of pizza. We'll give them as much as they want, and we give them bag lunches to take home to compensate for not having those meals.
And the high school students that come down, they get the experience of being able to see this firsthand. I mean, I know growing up, I was extremely sheltered, so I didn't really get to see a whole lot of how people lived up until I was 18 and I had my own bouts with addiction and homelessness. That's when I really got to see what it was like. But letting these high school students come out and see that this homelessness isn't just a man with a brown paper bag sitting on a corner. It's men, it's women, it's children that are out there. And that's one thing that our Maslow's Army outreach does differently, is we have people come out and we show them and we share our experience, and we let them know, like my husband was saying, that homelessness is a situation, it's not an identity, and we treat the individuals experiencing homelessness just the same as we treat our volunteers. Everybody there is united. Everybody there gets a chance to interact, and it's really a great event. I enjoy doing it every Sunday. It's one of those things where at first I wake up on Sunday like, gosh, it's Sunday morning and I have to get up, but by the time the event happens, I get to see all of these students that are out there having a great time, and I get to see the individuals that are experiencing homelessness feeling like they're somebody and that they matter. And I sit down with a lot of them and I have conversations with them, and I get to know their stories. And again, our outreach is just a low-hanging fruit of what we do. Through the week, we offer peer support. Our outreach is one of the ways where we connect to those experiencing homelessness. That way they can reach out to us during the week. And, we help with job resumes. We help people get into school. We help with job applications. We even help with public assistance, walking them through that process. I mean, because Sam and I, having the experience that we have, we know how to do these things, and we know the gaps that need to be filled.
And we're certified.
Yeah. We obtained our peer support certificates.
Right.
And we also are currently NKU students in social work. I graduate in December.
She's always a semester ahead of me, no matter what. So she'll graduate, and I'll graduate in May in social work as well, with a minor in addictions. But and that brings us to the point, why Maslow's Army? So Maslow's Army is created and designed after a famous psychologist in 1954. He created the hierarchy of basic human needs, which says that we need to meet their basic necessities: food, clothing, water, and then we work on security, housing, stabilization, and then it gets to positive relationships. We encourage people to go out and write down phone numbers, meet people out there that are positive, and try to stay away from the negativity that is out there. And this eventually builds self-esteem, and with the self-esteem, we try to help them advocate for jobs. We try to get them back enrolled into school. And we found through our experience, this is actually what helped me. Excuse me. And then that gets to a level of self-actualization or self-awareness. And that is why this is so successful. So with Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he also coined the phrase be all that you could be that the U.S. Army still uses as one of their slogans. So it's Maslow's Army, and we didn't even know that when we named it Maslow's Army. We're like, okay, we like Maslow, we like the hierarchy of needs, but let's put an army because we're out there. And then we find out that he created this phrase that I didn't know about, and it was like a Cinderella slipper. It just fit.
Yeah, and we've done a lot of different things. This is our Maslow's Army Basic Needs Guide. It lists all the soup kitchens in Northern Kentucky, Greater Cincinnati area. It lists where to get showers, clothes and haircuts, groceries, homeless shelters, healthcare, detox and treatment centers, as well as mental health services. And it lists it in pretty much, my husband and I call it a Dr. Seuss type way.
I Dr. Seussed it for him. Now, this is something that if I had when I was out there for the 20 years, it may have helped me get off the streets. It also, not only for those experiencing homeless, because a lot of them do know where some of these resources are. It's water resistant, it's durable, and we give them to the general public too, in lieu of handing out cash to the panhandlers, because 99% of the time it's being repurposed. So they can just hand them one of these in lieu of handing them cash. Nobody else really had a good, viable solution. And I'm like, wow, if I woke up in a camp one morning and looked at one of these, here's a place where I can get, it starts off with day and week labor. It's very important that they know that there is money to be had out there without the panhandling or without the hustling out there and asking people. And then, of course, like she said, go to the meals after that. So once you decided I'm going to wake up today and work, I'll know where to get my meals for the day. So we've distributed over 25,000 copies so far of this guide, and we've had some people come forward and help pay for printing. We're getting ready to do a new edition, so we're asking for funding for that because they're roughly 80 cents a piece.
And the resources change and they update.
Constantly.
Yeah. So one of the things that stuck out to me about this guide is we knew that it would be utilized. We knew how important it was to have. But a couple weeks ago at one of our outreaches, a lady showed up. And I saw it, and it was kind of torn. You could tell it was been worn, but the cover was still in great shape, and she had utilized it. I mean, in the back we have our notes section and phone numbers. She had phone numbers listed, and I was so taken back. I'm like, wow, this is exactly what we made this for. Somebody out there utilized it, and that's just the ones that we've seen that were utilized. I mean, this really has impacted a lot of lives, just this little booklet that we've made. And with us at Maslow's Army, Sam and I really like to celebrate holidays and events. We've been a nonprofit since March 15th of 2017, but one of our first holidays that we did was Easter. And I remember we collected all the Easter baskets. We're completely self-supported. We don't get any grants,
no
city money.
No. It's all come out of our pocket.
And Facebook, our Facebook friends, got to give a holler out to them.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Our team is amazing.
Yes.
We have a great staff, great team.
Yeah, we do. We have an amazing group of volunteers that help us each and every week. And
your favorite time was Easter. Tell them about Easter.
Favorite
Easter
time
was
Easter.
amazing.
So on Easter, we collected tons of Easter candy. I mean, we probably in 2017 spent like $500 on Easter candy and Easter baskets. And we went to this, I think it was, I can't release the name, but it was like a halfway house, and it had, children and their parents that were in recovery. And anyway, you couldn't tell it was a holiday that day.
It was sad.
It was so sad, and I was thinking, wow, I mean, this is why we do what we do. I mean, there was nobody that was going to show up that morning with an Easter basket and Easter candy for these kids. My heart's with the children, but I also like to do things with the adults as well, offer them peer support, because at the end of the day, we have to work on everybody.
We have to push them in the right direction.
Yes.
I mean, so a lot of the people that we serve out there, they are suffering from a form of PTSD or social anxiety, and some of them need some 12-step support. So you know, it's very hard for them to walk into a room full of people. So when we meet them where they're at. You know, we let them know that we're no better than you. You know, we meet them at eye level. We don't stand above them, and we find out what their need is, and we take them by the hand and walk them through this system. And it's, you know, we've noticed that we've had great success because when it comes to them actually looking at the pyramid, and maybe if they're in a 12-step program, following the steps, it's easier for those out there suffering from addiction and alcoholism to separate the action from the impulse. If they feel shaky, you know, they have the support system. If they feel shaky, they get to see their accomplishments, where they're at. Physically, when you see something, it's easier to
and we
have a belief in
actually
it.
go with people to 12-step meetings.
We say, you don't have to talk. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. One of my experiences is as a child, I had really bad social anxiety, depression. So the social anxiety was, you know, just, it was horrible. It was like I was stuck in myself. And a couple years ago, you couldn't have brought me into a 12-step meeting and all of that because I wouldn't have spoke. I mean, I would shake. I was nervous. I mean, a lot of people that I tell today, like, I had social anxiety. They don't believe me because they see me on the news and I'm able to do these interviews. But I understand the people that can't walk into a job and do an interview. I understand the people that stay at home because they're so depressed. Like, I've been there, and I think that's how we're able to advocate and connect to those that are out there. And this is our passion. This is what we love to do. And we both understand, we've both had our own struggles in our lives, and just to be able to be there each and every Sunday and throughout the week for individuals, even if it's just a phone call like, hey, I need to get to a domestic violence shelter, I need to get home. We look up the resources, we connect with the other agencies that are out there, like, what do you know? And we want to be able to continue to do this outreach. It's expensive. It is. I mean,
$500 a week.
Yeah,
is
we're
what
in
we're
desperate
paying out
need of
pocket.
funding.
So funding's hard, you know.
Yeah.
But for you know, every week it comes through for us. You know, usually it's the last minute, but
Yeah.
we'll have a donor, or we'll have to reach in our own pockets, or one of our staff will be like, I'm going to cover pizza this week. So, you know, it's worked out for 66 consecutive weeks we've done this with a permit on Fountain Square, which a lot of people said you'll fizzle in about a month or 2 months, and we started capturing people's attention. You know, we're very fortunate to have a really good executive board right now, where we have 2 MSWs, we have an engineer, we have a former vice president of Fifth Third Bank on our board.
And our outreach
Susan
board is really good.
Yeah, we have an
too.
outreach board too. So we have 2 separate boards, but we try to separate those 2 because the outreach team, you know, they focus on our event planning and getting our crew and staff together. Because when you're out there dealing with, we're serving typically about 500 people a week, and we've served as many as 1,500. So, excuse me again. So when we're out there with our outreach team, they're able to deal with the 60 volunteers and help them get positions when we get to set up every week at Fountain Square at noon. They put people in different positions, and our children usually are serving the pizza or on desserts because that's what they like to do. And they're always behind a tent, behind a table, so they're safe. They're in a safe, controlled environment. So our staff, our outreach staff makes that possible. And it's
our outreach. I mean, the volunteers. You know, Ronnie Wright, Ryan McClendon. You know, our girl Jessie. I mean, we can call them, like, Sam likes to plan events in like 3 days. He'll be like, "Honey, what do you think about doing a Taste of Cincinnati 3 days before it starts?" I'm like, "All right, we can try it." But our outreach team is really who gets it all together with us. I mean, if it was just Sam and I, we couldn't get it all together.
That's a good story. Let's talk about the Taste of Cincinnati. So 3 days prior to the event, I woke up again like 2 o'clock in the morning like I always do. Honey, I got an idea. You know, I remember living on the streets as long as I was, from camp to camp, shelter to shelter, under the bridges, wherever I was. And then you have the Taste of Cincinnati over Memorial Day weekend, and you know, you don't have money to participate. You smell the wonderful smells. You know, you hear the laughter. You see the people going through the event. Everybody's eating and getting full, and there you are. You can't participate. So I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if we can set up a Maslow's event right there and actually serve food to those who can't participate? So 3 days prior to the event, we walk into City Hall and to former council member Charlie Winburn's office, and we were dealing with Roz. We love Roz.
Yeah, Roz was so sweet.
Roz was so key to helping us get set up, and said, "What do you think about the idea that we set up a tent at the Taste of Cincinnati that'll serve those who are less fortunate?" And right away, she her eyes opened up and her jaw hit the table like, "Wow, this is a great idea." So she made the connection. She contacted the Chamber of Commerce, who was hosting the event this year, and met with called Cynthia Oxley, who was coordinating the event. And right away, Cynthia called back. We coordinated with the chief of police, and within 3 days, we were able to get a tent at the very beginning of the Taste of Cincinnati last year. That we were able to, the 34-hour event, it lasted 34 hours over 3 days. We served 7,900 slices of Jets pizza with dessert and bottled water. And they said for the first time in years, they didn't have any incidents. It was a successful event. And we had a lot of those people experiencing homelessness hanging out at our tent. We're engaging, having fun with them. And it was miraculous. It was beautiful. We did the same thing with Kathy Casper. You know, got to mention Kathy. She was a big homeless advocate out there in Cincinnati who would go under the bridges, and we would never do this, but she would take people from under a bridge when it was cold and bring them into her house, you know, and she had some issues with that, but that's where her heart was. That's what, you know, she considered herself the hands and feet of Jesus. She was a very religious, spiritual lady who went out and did a lot for the community. She passed away in July of last year, and we were her last post on Facebook was about Maslow's Army, and somebody contacted us like, "Will you do an event?" So, and what was it, just like a week or so? We rented Fountain Square, we rented the stage, we did this huge celebration of life for her, and lots of people came out.
It was beautiful. It really was. I mean, Sam and I and our crew have done so many things for the city of Cincinnati, and we just continue to do them. But ultimately, our goal is to obtain a building and to be able to do this throughout the week, because Sunday isn't enough. Yeah, we do peer support on our telephones, but we don't have a building. We're currently working from our cell phones, our apartment, and we're having to do all this voluntarily. I mean,
in all fairness, we are in negotiations right now with the economic and development of the city of Cincinnati, and meeting with city council weekly, daily.
Yeah.
You know, getting calls, and we're trying to set up a day center for Cincinnati. It will be a place where they can come in, they can watch TV. We bought guitars for music therapy, because there's a lot of people on the street that were really into music, and we bought guitars, and we have a drum set that's being donated and a piano. So, and we'll also have TVs where they can just come in and watch movies. And then we're also going to invite people from DCI Path, Lighthouse Ministries, Tender Mercies, Hamilton County Job and Family Services. All the organizations out there are always welcome to come in. You don't, you know, typically in a lot of these environments, you have to be a participant, you have to have your IDs and all that, but that's going to be a little bit different here. People can come off the street, they can seek warmth, or they can seek coolness in the summertime. And one thing I wanted to talk about is, a lot of people heard of our friend Ken Martin, who was one of the first persons that we served during our first day, week one, on Sunday in Fountain Square. And you know, he was inspired by what we were doing. He thought that, well, if these people can do it, maybe change is possible for me. So he did really well for a while. He started volunteering at Maslow's Army, got himself into an apartment, got a little job. You know, he had a little slip, and it led him back onto the street for a little while. But the day after Christmas, he was found passed away at a bus shelter down by Fountain Square at 5:45 in the morning. And you know, we really loved Ken, so we contacted the county coroner and we obtained his remains, and we you know, we had him cremated and through a parade downtown, where literally we hired a Cincinnati police detail officers and we hosted a parade all the way down Vine Street to end homelessness and poverty. And there's a really big a memorial service we held at Prince of Peace Church with Pastor John. He did a wonderful job. That whole staff did, and so a columbarium. The Christ Cathedral donated a spot in their columbarium to actually put his remains in, and the outpouring of support we got from the city and individuals who said, you know, you could put a face to this now that is very real. People do pass away due to the elements that are out there. That's why we want to do the day center.
Yeah, that's really why we want to do the day center, is because there are shelters that are, you know, in the city of Cincinnati. However, there is a gap where if you are not a part of their program, you get kicked out of the program. Our day center is going to be low barrier. You know, just come in. We're going to be open during the hours that the shelter is not accepting people that are not in their program. So we can't stress funding enough. We need funding. Funding. So if you want to check out our website, we're at www.maslowsarmy.org. Also, feel free to contact us at 859-491-2769 and follow us on Facebook.
That's 859-491-ARMY. And again, follow us on Facebook at Maslow's Army, or Maslow's Army is, our website is www.maslowsarmy. And we look forward to future connections with all the other organizations out there, as we know that it's a stronger bond to work together. So, you know, if we all work together to do our job, we can and will make a difference in those experiencing homelessness and addiction, mental health issues. Yeah.
Yes, and if anyone's interested in volunteering, give us a call at our number. So we love to have volunteers. We welcome students. We have kids of all age come out. Now, granted, an infant can't volunteer, but if we do have a 3-year-old.
Separating paper plates, 5- and 6-year-olds serving pizza. Bring your families out. It's a controlled, safe environment. We have our security, 3CDC, DCI, the Cincinnati Police. They're always right around the event. So it's a very safe place, and they get to see this. They get to see this firsthand. So, you know, we really want to appreciate we want to thank you for having us on today.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Please watch this video and share it. Let people know that we're out there and we're willing to help make a difference.
Thanks.